think most of us have heard the phrase, April showers bring May flowers. Where I live, we tend to get the bigger storms near the end of summer, instead of in the spring. The past 3 weeks have been bouts of scorching hot days, then large storms rolling through. There had only been one large storm in the spring. Every time I hear thunder rolling off in the distance, I'm mentally back to that spring day. I won't ever be able to forget that storm for as long as I live. And I need to hide away on stormy days so the memories don't fully take over. Last night, a storm rolled in. It made me realize I might not be around for very long to worry about being tormented over memories of the rain. When I heard the first hint of thunder, I grabbed my noise-canceling headphones. I shut the curtains to block out any flashes of lightning, and closed the windows to keep the smell of rain out. This method of drowning out the storms had worked until last night. As the rain and wind grew stronger outside, the power shut off. I now didn't have any way to avoid the sounds just outside my window. I got out of bed, considering shoving toilet paper in my ears. I was desperate to not hear the roaring wind or the raindrops hitting hard against my window. As I started towards the bathroom, I stopped. For half a second, I thought I heard something else just outside. I could have sworn it was my name. But who would be calling out for me in this weather? It's not as if anyone called or texted me anymore. My phone still had battery left, and there weren't any messages of someone coming over. I figured it was just my anxiety acting up and making me hear things. I brushed off another whisper of my name coming from the rain. But I couldn't brush off someone knocking at my door. I jumped at the sound. For a full minute, I didn't move, convinced they would just leave. I wasn't aware I was holding my breath until my chest started to hurt. Just as I took a slow inhale, the whisper started again. I gritted my teeth, the rage bubbling up. Was this a prank? Hadn't I already been through enough already? Who the hell was outside and thought all of this was funny? My feet hit the stairs hard. I rushed to the door, only pausing to pick up a baseball bat I kept near the shoe rack. I've had issues with people just not leaving me the hell alone, and I wanted some sort of weapon. Even though I was so pissed off, I still hesitated to open the door and face the rain. When I opened it, I saw no one on the front step. I still heard the whispers in the rain. Sick, garbled noises that had gotten worse since I opened the door. I braved a step outside, getting soaked within seconds by the cold downpour. My eyes scanned the lawn, looking for any sign of the noises. The wind picked up, blowing the sound in different directions. I jumped again when the door behind me slammed shut. I cursed, my hands flew to the handle to find it locked. The spare key was kept under the mat. A bad move, I know. It's not as if I owned anything to steal since the divorce, so I never bothered to move it. My hand landed on an empty spot. I lifted the mat to see nothing but dirt and a few skittering bugs where the key should be. Are you looking for this? The storm died down to a gentle mist after the voice spoke. The world beyond appeared to be a wall of white. I gripped the bat, ready to defend myself, but my heart dipped when I saw who sat on the old wicker chair on the other end of the porch. I must be losing it. You can't be here, I said, my body ice cold from the sight before me. A woman sat there, her face drained of any color, her makeup not matching her skin tone. Her long dress a deep black, with dried flower petals clinging to the fabric. I stared at her face and at what her makeup didn't fully cover. A long, sewn-together gash had split her head in two at one point. I'd heard she had an open casket funeral. After seeing her get pulled from her car that day, I didn't think that would be possible. If it's a mental breakdown, then you have nothing to lose talking to me. I'll give you back this if you do. She raised a pale hand to show the spare key dangling from one of her fingers. I have nothing to say to you, I spat out. My stomach felt as if acid had pooled in the bottom. I started off the front steps and into the misty world beyond. The instant I got on the front walkway, the storm came back. It raged so hard I nearly got blown off my feet. And those sounds came back. Metal against metal. Glass breaking. Cars failing to stop in time. And the screams. All of it became nearly deafening with the rain. I forced my head up, squinting through the water, stinging my eyes. In the distance, I saw 7 figures. I couldn't make them out fully because of the storm, but I knew in a heartbeat who they were. I flew back to my house, slamming into the front door, desperate to get back inside. The storm stopped when I stepped back onto the porch. I dripped rainwater as my fist pounded on the door, wanting nothing more than to get away from all this. I soon exhausted myself, my entire body trembling from cold and fear. You want to talk now? I looked over, seeing that she hadn't moved. I slumped against the door, mentally beaten. The last thing I wanted to do was talk with her. She took my silence as a signal to keep speaking. Was there something wrong with your car? She asked, dead eyes landing on my own. For a second, I considered lying. Blaming my car might be a way out. But this also felt like a test. And I feared what would happen if I didn't tell the facts. No, I half whispered. There was nothing wrong with my car that day. The brakes and tires were fine. Hell, I even had the oil changed 2 weeks before it all happened. Checking your cell phone, maybe? She offered. I shook my head. I'd forgotten to plug my phone in that day, so it was dead on the ride home. Drunk, maybe? You don't seem like much of a drinker, though. Your wife wasn't in the car either. Wasn't that the plot of a Stephen King book? The guy's wife distracted him and he ran someone over who... I shot up, my face red with anger and fear. She was treating all of this like it was some sort of joke. So many emotions came up so violently, I thought I might be sick. It was raining, I just couldn't see, that's all. I've said this 100 times before, and everyone wants a different answer. I can't control the weather, and I couldn't see anything to pull over. I've already admitted I caused the accident, and it's taken everything from me. I snapped. In my rage, I saw the baseball bat I dropped and forgotten about. I picked it up, unsure of what I wanted to do with it. I either wanted to knock the smug grin off her face or break down my door. She didn't appear scared by my outburst or the weapon in my hand. She just laughed. I couldn't explain why the sound made me back away like I did. Such glee on a dead face appeared too damn unnatural. You really said that to me? You said you lost everything to the person who died in the accident you caused? Really? She said with humor still in her voice. I flinched at the words. My face was red and stomach twisting. My wife, everyone... You don't understand. I started to weakly explain. Oh, you poor baby, she replied, still amused. I kept my mouth shut, my lips drawn in a tight line, feeling as if I might burst. I was pregnant, you know. Only a few weeks along, but it was there. I didn't have the best upbringing, so at first I never wanted kids. I didn't think it was right to bring life into this world when it would be on fire in the next 10 years. But when I took the tests, it just felt right, you know? I was finally getting somewhere. My life was all planned out. I was even 10 days away from retirement from the force. I listened to her, my legs shaking at first. Then I noticed the smirk on her face. A small flush of annoyance came over me. Are you bullshitting me? She smiled. I bet when she was alive, it would be an expression that brightened up a room. A little bit. Some of it was true. I didn't want to believe her. It was hard enough to accept 8 lives were lost that day. I couldn't handle the thought of another one on top of it all. She turned away from me, a new serious expression on her face. I followed her gaze out into the wall of mist. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the outlines of the 7 lurking out there. But something about them seemed off. The shape's just not human enough for it to be possible. Doesn't matter who I was or what I wanted to do. It ended because of the rain, she commented, sadness seeping into her tone for the first time. Because of the rain, I confirmed, praying she believed me. Her dead eyes studied me for a long while. Then she tossed the spare key to my feet. I didn't move to take it. I wondered if this had all really happened, or if I was having some sort of mental break. In the spring, it rained. Hard. A burst of it came down while I was on the highway. I wanted to pull over, but I saw nothing but water against my windshield, no matter how hard my wipers worked. I saw the taillights too late. Then, all the noise happened at once. 8 people died. All because I hit one truck that rolled over. I have no idea why I lived when no one else in the other cars did. I stood as she got up from her chair. She slowly walked in my direction, pausing in front of me. I couldn't meet her eyes. I wanted a reason. I guess sometimes things just happen, she commented, voice still somber. What now? Are you gonna move on or something? You're not gonna haunt me for the rest of my life, are you? I asked, still not raising my head to make eye contact. She laughed again. This time it sounded so cold it chilled me more than the rain. Her hand shot out and took hold of my wrist so hard I thought it might break. Her nails dug into my skin, causing blood to start seeping out between her fingers. I looked up, finally seeing her eyes. I was too scared to even scream. I wanted a reason. And for you to suffer for the rest of your life. But I'm also a bit lazy. I don't need to do anything. I can forgive you and pass on, knowing the other 7 won't. I looked behind her, the pain in my wrist fading. I choked on fear, seeing the storm come back. In the rain were the 7 others that hated me. Their emotions twisted their bodies and souls into something no human should ever experience, let alone try to comprehend. All their eyes on me and all their hatred focused on one thing: to make my life as horrifying as possible. And when I couldn't take it anymore, they would take my soul into the never-ending storm. She let go of my wrist. By the time I realized she had started to walk away, I reached back out for her. I wanted her to stay. I needed something normal to hold on to. For as strange as a talking dead woman may be, what waited beyond in the rain was much worse. She disappeared in the rain within seconds, and they came flooding in, their deformed hands tearing at my exposed skin and the sounds of the crash exploding around us. I envied her for having a quick death I knew I would not be so lucky to experience. My mind gave out in the freezing cold pain and the sounds of rain. When I woke up, I was in the front hallway of my house, soaking wet with cuts all over my arms. I stayed on the floor, too hurt to move, but now too overwhelmed with fear over my future. I've considered moving somewhere it doesn't rain. Is there even a place like that? Even deserts get storms at some point. They'll always come back with the rain. The sounds of the hatred and regret of death ringing out between raindrops. I could move. Get far away from everything. But these cuts on my arms they left will heal to become scars. no matter what I do, they'll always be there. Waiting for me in the rain. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow. And see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.